Wagwan story mother freaking time. So sometime ago, I was working at this surgery center, and it was one of my PRN surgery centers. So I was familiar with the nurses that I was working with here. But still, it was one of many per diem surgery center jobs that I had, because y'all already know I'm not crazy about the commitment. Anyways, so at this surgery center, patients were coming out. The day was moving in a very steady fashion, not super fast pace where we're like, oh God, but also definitely not slow, not by any means. So there was this other nurse that was working with me, one of the other nurses that was working with me. We'll call her Charisse. I gotta do better with my names. Anyway, so we'll call her Charisse. Excuse me. I'm awake. I'm still here. Anyways, a patient comes out, and a lot of times when patients are coming out, a lot of the recovery room nurses will help one another get the patient hooked up and settled. So it's Charisse's turn to take a patient. I go over there, another nurse goes over there, and we're helping her get the patient settled. At one point, Charisse has to reach over the patient to put the remaining lead on her body. So there's 1, 2, and tree, or 1, 2, and tree. Tree like down here. And when she did that, mind you, the patient is still groggy, waking up from anesthesia. The patient is like, whoa, your hand smells funny. I think it actually might not even smell funny, like it might just smell bad. Here's the thing with anesthesia. A lot of times you do say weird things as you're just waking up, and then you don't ever remember that you've ever said that. And that's why when it's time for you to go home and it's time for the nurse to give discharge instructions, we ask to give the instructions to a loved one, because you're not going to remember anything after receiving anesthesia. Nobody pays that comment any mind. Nobody even laughs. We just blow it off, and we're still talking to her like, all right, you just got out of surgery. You're waking up. It's okay to give in to the sleepiness. You can rest. Like, we're saying the same standard things to let patients know this is a weird feeling, but it's a normal feeling. It's okay to give in to it, So again, no one acknowledged that comment. At some point, she sees me, my glasses, and she was like, those are funky glasses. She's high. Nobody's commenting. Nobody's responding to her commenting. We're all just getting her settled. So the day progresses. Charisse continues to care for that patient. The patient is eventually, awake enough. The fog has cleared enough for her to get her up and out. All right. It's my turn to take a patient. The patient that comes out that I'm taking isn't even an anesthesia patient. It was a local. And when I say local, it means, let's say that I had to have surgery on my wrist. I don't know. It was a small surgery. Let's just say that that's what happened. They're not going to give me anesthesia. They're going to give me local, meaning they're just going to give something at the site to keep it super numb to where I don't feel a single thing, but I'm wide awake. No drugs to put me out, no drugs to make me feel high, no drugs to make me feel groggy, nothing. Just the site. That's called a local. When that happens and you come to recovery, all we're really doing is looking at the site and checking your vital signs once and sending you home, because you don't have anything in your system to compromise your way of thinking. We still have to put you on the monitor and get that one set of vital signs, though. So a couple of nurses, including Charisse, came over to help me. And so, again, my guy is clear as day. Let's call him David. David says, what time is it? David says, what time is it? Charisse starts laughing. And she was like, I think he said you stink. What? So David looks at her confused. And he was like, no. Awkward laugh. He's like, I was actually asking the time. So I looked at the time. I'm not even paying Charisse any attention. I don't know what that was. And I told David the time. We got David's vital signs. David said, so I'm assuming everything went well. I said, yes. Yes, it did. He said, okay, cool. David left. David went home. Cool, right? David did not have anesthesia. Charisse, in her corner, leaned up against the wall on her phone, was like, that was weird. It really wasn't. The only weird part was you, but I don't really want to talk to you about it because you have allowed us all to reach our weird quota for the day. I'm going to let you go ahead and stay over there in that corner. So there's another nurse working. Another nurse, it's her turn to get the patient. A patient. This patient had a substantial amount of anesthesia because the procedure that she had was much larger. She's saying a bunch of weird mumbo jumbo. And when I say weird, it's like none of her words are clear. And that's completely normal for some people coming out of surgery. And this is another thing. When you have surgery, sometimes you'll wake right up. Anesthesia doesn't even look like it touched your big toe. Sometimes you'll wake up and be sleepy and groggy and just sharing all of your business and all your information. And sometimes it takes you a long time to wake up. Like sometimes you are just mumbling mumbo jumbo. Like anesthesia is a hell of a drug. It'll do weird things to you. And that's why there's a place called the recovery room. So this patient is just saying where nothing is clear. It's just like that. Charisse is one of the nurses that's helping this other nurse that's receiving the patient get the patient settled. Okay? So Charisse starts laughing. And she was like, man, these patients are just full of insults today. Did you hear what she said? No, Charisse. The other nurse also said, no. We didn't hear what she said because she didn't really say anything. She's just making noises. Now Charisse gets annoyed. Charisse is like, wow, it's so weird that nobody wants to acknowledge when someone else is getting insulted. But when I get insulted, it's a big deal. Bitch, what? What? And so she storms off. Nobody goes after her. What is this? What are we, kids? Stop it, Charisse. Stop. You know how this is. You are a nurse. You've been working here. This could not have been the first time somebody said some weird shit to you. It is a consistent thing. Cut it out. And stop forcing whatever this is that you're doing. This is a very strange reaction. Next thing you know, the patient's settled. The other nurse is doing her thing. She's documenting, monitoring the patient. I'm sitting over at the nurse's station, waiting for the next patient to come out. The charge nurse comes out of her office and she's like, hey, what's up? Nothing. Just waiting on the next patient. She was like, okay, cool, because Charisse doesn't want to come back out here and work with you guys. She said she feels like it's all of a sudden a hostile environment. The other nurse, who we need to name, we can call her Lonnie. Lonnie, for not even really a part of the conversation, but she should be, calls from where she's standing. She was like, are you serious? Sorry, it's not funny. So then she comes over and she, gets further information. And the two of us say essentially the same thing. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So the charge nurse is like, okay, well, I can go talk to her, but this is a little ridiculous. You guys are all adults. I'm going to send her back out here to work because I can't afford to send a nurse home over circumstances that seem, in other words, It doesn't make sense for her to send this nurse home because she all of a sudden feels like she's working in a hostile environment and then force us to all be short-staffed. There isn't enough proof. Like, it's not like there's a long-standing history of us bullying this nurse. You know what I'm saying? So she comes back out there, doesn't say a word to us, not a gosh darn thing. Maybe like 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half before the shift ends, before the day ends, another nurse comes in. So she comes in and I'm like, what are you doing here? And she was like, oh, I'm supposed to be relieving Charisse. I was like, oh, okay. I'm not asking any more questions. I'm not the charge nurse of anybody. I just asked you what you were doing here because I wasn't expecting to see you. I don't care. Relieve the girl, whatever. So Charisse leaves, and every time before this charge nurse leaves for the day, she'll always come back out and check in with her staff. So she comes out and she sees the nurse that comes in to relieve Charisse. And she was like, what are you doing here? And she was like, oh, Charisse texted me and said she had an emergency. So that's why I came. The charge nurse is fuming. She is visibly upset, very annoyed, because, I understand where she's coming from. Like, Charisse kind of acted childishly in this whole situation. Either she needed a reason to leave early, or she was embarrassed. Both of the reasons everybody would have understood if she had just said them. It was weird. This is a per diem location. I will say that the past few times that I've picked up shifts there, I didn't see Charisse. I don't know where homegirl is. I don't know if she still worked there. It's not funny, y'all. All I'm really trying to say is when you decide to work in a certain profession and you've been working there for a certain amount of time, there are certain things that you are forced to simply accept. There's no getting away from certain things that come with working in a certain profession. So you have to learn to get familiar early with acknowledging what you're feeling and finding a way to deal with it in a healthy fashion. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's perfect, but such is life. Also, I have a few links below that I would love for you guys to check out. A couple of those links are donation links. I don't know if you guys heard, but my last campaign, Seed and Spark, didn't go the way I expected it to go. Don't get me wrong, I am grateful for what it has brought me. But unfortunately, because of the way Seed and Spark is set up, they don't actually take the money out of your account until the end of the campaign. So if the campaign is 30 days and you donate on day 6, well, that money's not coming out of your account until day 24, should the campaign be successful. If it's a 45-day campaign and you donate on the 5th day, that money's not coming out your account for 40 days. And if it's a 60-day campaign, same thing. So what ended up happening with my campaign is some people disputed the charge. Some people were like, what is this? Because if 30 days goes by and you see a charge come out your account, it's going to look weird. You're not going to remember what you were doing 30 days ago, especially if you don't remember what you were doing 30 minutes ago. No. So that is my issue that I had with that crowdfunding platform. The links that I was talking to you about, I have a Patreon that I have the full series Shadow of a Doubt on, and I am actively working to get all of the episodes of Epstein Street on with an updated episode. Updates on my comic book series that I'm working on. Updates on Xyla. I'm really excited about the direction that both the comic book series and Xyla is going in. So if you guys would like to know more about that, join my Patreon or click the link below that allows you to donate, and it will take the money immediately. A tax-deductible donation. I don't know. It benefits you tax-wise if you donate to the link below. And join my Patreon. So thanks, guys, for your love, your support, your understanding. Keep watching and keep showing your girl some love. Buy my books and follow me on IG and TikTok and Facebook. Bye, guys.